Now, Borderlands 4 has just been publicly released, and honestly, there's a lot of great features in it, a lot of great things. The weapons are absolutely amazing, and some of the gameplay is really on point. However, there's a few things that I've got to go over, and the main one is definitely going to be some of the options. I'm playing on console, namely the Xbox Series X, but I believe this should apply to all consoles, so I'll be going over the best options that I found, and how you can kind of tweak them to make the gameplay a little bit better overall. First off, if you're here on the video mainly for an FOV slider, then unfortunately you should click off now. They have decided not to include one, which is absolutely awful, and it's one of my biggest gripes with this game overall. But for the other settings, I'm going to be jumping into exactly what ones you should be changing around. So for the visuals, the first and foremost, you're just going to want to keep this on performance. The other one is absolutely awful, and even on performance at the moment, I think they're probably going to need to update the game, do a few patches before they kind of iron things out, because if you're playing with some friends and there's a lot of explosions going on, then the game can go a little bit iffy. I've lagged back to menu, I've had my game stutter, freeze. Trust me, keep it on performance is going to be the best by far for quite some time, until they hopefully fix things a little bit later on further down the line. For your calibrate display, that's just going to be if you want to change any of the brightness or anything such as that, so it's going to be up to your personal preference. And exactly the same for your heads up display area. If you want it slightly bigger, you'll be able to. If not, just leave it how it is. I found this to be pretty good, so I didn't muck around with this one. And again, exactly the same with your split screen. This is just going to be if you're doing your kind of co-op functions. Over to audio, and I found these to be pretty good overall. No real issues here. If you wanted to tweak anything, you very well could do. Just work out what's best for yourself, and usually it'd just be by adjusting a little bit of master volume if you wanted it a little bit lower overall. Now over to your controls, and this is where things start to get a bit interesting, because for some reason they put these all very low. I definitely wouldn't recommend playing it from the start at what they put it on, and you're going to want to increase these to, I'd say, around about 3, or maybe even higher depending on how much you play kind of first person shooters. If you've got very high reflexes and you're used to playing things very fast paced, you may want to put this up a little bit higher. I tend to have it about 3 and it works out pretty well overall. Then aim sensitivity, this is going to be your 2 and your 2. This is going to be your gunplay when you're actually aiming down sights kind of thing, and honestly I found this to be pretty ideal, but you could tweak it a little bit depending on how you want it, if you wanted it a little bit slower or faster. Overall, I found if I made it too fast, it did make me feel a little bit nauseous because the FOV on this is so close. Might just be myself, but I found this to be absolutely perfect. But overall, if I go back to how it is, then playing like this, it's all pretty smooth and doesn't actually make me feel sick most times, which is always good. Then, of course, we're going to go over to the inverts. If you wanted to play it so that all of the controls are inverted, you could do. I have never done that on anything, so that's completely up to your preference if you want up to be down and down to be up and such. And for your toggle glide, I would leave this as on personally, as it felt pretty good overall like this, but again, it's down to how you actually want to play with your gliding. For the last of these, your toggle aim down sights and things such as this, all of these worked out perfect, so I wouldn't change any of these personally. However, I did change the cursor speed down to 0.5 because when I was on my map, I found it was kind of overgoing with it, so this worked out a lot better and felt a bit smoother overall. And then I put the cursor friction down just over here to 0.35. So now when you're on your map, you're going around and it felt just a whole bunch more smoother to me. Whenever I was doing videos, I found that I was overshooting everything and it felt a bit awkward, but now it works out absolutely ideal. Again, for your inverts, I wouldn't really muck around with these. That would feel awful, I'd imagine. Then we're going to go over to gameplay, and this is going to be another big key area to look at. For your gore, this is going to be down to preference again, whether you want it off or on, depending on how your playstyle is. Menus, that's going to be if you want to kind of go through the game with a little bit of heads up, or if you're really good at the game, you know exactly what's going on, or you've played for some time, then you probably turn all of these off, such as your tutorials. But for the start, I'd recommend keeping them on, just because it's a new game and there'll be things we probably haven't had come up in the Borderlands series yet. Then finally, the main one I would say will be your reticle position. Keep this as offset, keep this as all icons, but then finally the big one that I would 100% change, that I have finally found in this game because I've been looking for this and somehow I completely missed it and thought they'd taken it out. Honestly, this was a bit of a grievance, but now we're going to click it across and we've actually got a radar on our game. So previously we had nothing, and now top right we have a radar and you can see exactly what's going on. So now, as you can see, if we've got enemies going on, you can see these straight on the radar. It makes your life just a whole bunch easier, and just pickups, everything, playing with friends, just knowing exactly what's going on is much more fun, whereas before I found it a little bit of a pain. But yeah, Hopefully that's helped a few of you guys and girls out. There's going to be a load more content away from me. For now, take care. I'll see you on the next day.